Great. So, between the time that I made that intro to now, it's been like a week. And, well, for one, I can't remember what I said in it. Which, I mean, like, could have happened within 5 minutes of making the video. But also, like, part of the reason why it took me so long to sit down here and do these readings is because I don't know if it's like the Taurus sun in me, if it's my Virgo moon, blah, 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 I don't know. But it's like, I felt like I wanted to have something more prepared, and I get stuck and hung up on these, like, wanting something to be perfect, which it never is. And it's just almost like an excuse, right? So I don't know. Why am I talking about this? I don't know. Maybe you needed to hear it too, that if you are delaying doing something, other light. If you're delaying doing something, if you're waiting for the perfect time for something, there's no such thing. There just isn't. And, like, we start kind of like amping up on the anxiety around it too, right? Because then I started feeling anxious, like, oh my gosh, like looking at the date, oh my gosh, like when was the last time I put out videos, blah, 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 and then for me, I just kind of shut down, which isn't good. That's not helpful for anybody. It doesn't make the anxiety go away. And that anxiety comes from knowing that I wanted to sit down here and I wanted to put out a message to you guys. I wanted to, get some readings out there again. And the fact that I wasn't doing it was what was causing the anxiety. And the reason why I wasn't doing it is because I wanted to have something else that either added value to the reading or whatever, which is really kind of interesting because Venus just went retrograde right on Sunday. And that's the second house for me, which is about worthiness, value, right? And here I am going on and on about wanting something, whatever it is, to be perfect. And also the main message behind that being showing up exactly where you are and with exactly whatever tools that you have right now to do the thing. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this into the intro video. So you won't even see the one that I was talking about that I just did a week ago because that has nothing now. I realized that last month I didn't get around to doing human design profile readings, and I do want to do those still. I'm like teetering between, wanting to make those the priority and the zodiac signs secondary, or, kind of keep, because there's tons of videos from YouTube creators about zodiac signs. I haven't seen a single one about human design profiles or really anything else. And I think it's cool because it's just a different avenue to receive a message, like any zodiac sign could be a 1-3 profile or a 2-5 profile or whatever, right? So I think I just answered my own question, and I think I'm going to, for the time being, I'm going to lead with the human design profile readings. And if I get around to doing zodiac readings in a month, then great. If not, it is what it is for the time being. I'm a manifesting generator, 5-1, emotional authority, and true to manifesting generator form. I have a million things going on, which is kind of why, like, my time is all of a sudden limited, and I am struggling to get all 24 videos out in a month. So that's okay because, it's energy, right? And for right now, for whatever reason, I have a limited availability of time, but also energy. I'm sacral, but that doesn't mean that I just, I I have endless amount of energy. So, we still need to be taking care of our sacral and giving it rest. But like I said, I have a ton of stuff going on. And at some point, the energy is going to shift. And at some point, I will be able to put 24 videos out again. And, it really goes into trust. That's a big thing with human design, too. The major thing is deconditioning the ways that we were structured to live our lives. And most of that is not listening to our own inner wisdom and guidance. And, that's where the strategy and authority comes from. So without any further delay, because I could keep going on, and I probably will in the videos. But again, I'm going to lead with the human design profile readings. I am not going to worry about, I like to have some sort of content that goes over each profile, just to give you, like a different perspective from somebody else and their understanding of what the profile says. I have some stuff buried in my phone, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go search for it this time. So going forward, I'll the next time we do these readings, I'll have some sort of content. But for now, we're just going to treat it in some kind of way. Okay, great. Okay. I don't know if you could hear that, but right when I started this video, this loud ass car went speeding by. It's kind of funny. So anyway, I don't think I actually introduced myself in that weird ass intro. And apparently I'm struggling to find words. So let me just, tap on my defined throat. So I don't think I actually introduced myself in the beginning of this video, that weird ass intro that wasn't going to be an intro and then turned into an intro. Keep people confused, right? But my name is Liz. This is Heretic Owl Tarot, and I'll be guiding you on this journey. If you're new here, welcome. If you are a current subscriber or just coming back, thank you. Welcome back. So this reading is for the 3/6 profile, the martyr role model. Of course, the videos are for everybody too. So if for some reason you felt drawn to this reading, great. If you don't know what your profile is, there is a link in the description below for you to get your human design body graph. And of course, your profile is only one aspect of the whole of human design. But for the purpose of these readings, we are going based on your profile. So the third line is the martyr line. It's all about trial and error, bumping up against, life experiences, people, making and breaking bonds. It's kind of like you have to try something in order to see if it works. So it's like being born to make mistakes. But the purpose of that, though, is to figure out what doesn't work, because there's a lot of wisdom in that, right? Like you would be able to say to somebody, no, that doesn't work because I've tried it. And I've also tried this, that, and the other way of doing things. And this is a way that I found that does actually work. But of course, that can be a bit chaotic, and what is the word I'm actually searching for? Uncomfortable, maybe? If you don't really understand that is part of your process, or if people have made you feel a certain way about that process. And then you have the sixth line on the design or the unconscious side. I think, some people call the design side the body side, because, the left side, it's more about It's not things that you are going to necessarily be conscious of right away. It's kind of just like, I see them as just being like things that are just there. Like we don't necessarily know why, but it's part of our, of course, design. So the sixth line comes with a 3-tiered process. So for the first 28 to 30 years until your Saturn return, from the time that you were born until your Saturn return, the sixth line operates as a third line. So for the first 30 years, you're living as a 3-3, which again can be chaotic and, almost like dismantling is a word that like kind of keeps coming to mind too. But it's like double power, double whammy with that third line. And, like the making and breaking bonds, it's like, you link up with somebody or something, and then at some point there's, something that happens that just kind of, it breaks the bond, whether that's permanently or whether that is temporarily. It could just be needing to separate yourself from the situation and go take a drive, or, just kind of take a beat and calm down even, depending of course on the situation. So it's not necessarily that something like permanent. It can be if it needs to be, but it can also be temporary. But also, like recognizing that again, right? That is very much part of your process. So maybe in the first 30 years of your life, you did kind of, you had a lot of different experiences where, you were making bonds, you were breaking bonds, kind of going through that whole process. And then after your Saturn return, from the time that you're 28 to 30 until around 50-ish, a little more than 50. I can't remember if it's the Chiron return or if it's your second Saturn return, because now all of a sudden my open head is drawing a blank. So you're on the roof in that middle stage and being more observant. It's like unpacking your baggage. Again, like going through what worked, what didn't work, what did you like, what didn't you like. But you still have that conscious third line that's going to pull you down. Like if you're getting bored, you just kind of need something to throw your energy into. Maybe being a bit more cautious. This is kind of like, a time where you probably start really recognizing your strategy and authority, because, your strategy and authority is going to help you enter into the correct experiences for you. And your profile is like how you experience or how you interact with those experiences, the energies, the people. So, the third line is never really going to let you fully rest, but also, just honoring that need for alone time, honoring the need for, like deconditioning, for healing. And then after you come off of the roof, after the age of 50 or so, that's when you're in that full role model expression where it's not necessarily like you need to be like up on a stage, talking to people. You certainly can if that's what you feel called to do, but it's more so, people look to you as a guide, or, they can recognize just by you living your life the way that you're living it, they're like, wow, this person knows something that I don't know. And you do. You absolutely do. So, they might seek you out for guidance. And again, like that's where your strategy and authority comes into play. Like, are you getting a yes? Like, are you getting an invitation? Is it something that you want to initiate? Is it something you've had time to go through the lunar cycle on, if it's a big decision, right? So again, like honoring the strategy and authority, honoring the no when it comes up. Let's see, I think that's all I have for now. If I think of other stuff, I'll mention it. But let's get an oracle card for you, and then we'll get some tarot, of course. It's interesting how that came out. So it says, embracing enthusiasm, shout to the heavens with happiness. Love that. And how very vague. Like, I'm really kind of curious, like, what tarot comes out, because this can obviously, like, this can go so many different ways. I love the butterfly aspect, because anytime I see butterflies, I think of transformation. I think of metamorphosis, right? I mean, like, literally going from one thing and turning into a completely different thing. I think enthusiasm and happiness kind of go together too. Like, I was trying to think of a time where, anybody has ever been or described as being enthusiastically unhappy. Like, is anybody enthusiastic about being meh? Very interesting. Whoop. Okay. So we have the Page of Wands. Okay. We have the Page of Wands, Four of Cups, Knight of Wands. That's interesting. We have this progression from the Page to the Knight, and right in between it is this like lethargy, boredom, not interested. Like, it's almost kind of the exact opposite of enthusiasm. So maybe it's just, again, like I was kind of saying it, like getting bored. What in the world? Cards are going crazy. Oh, that is funny. Like, maybe there is just like something that, it's just kind of like humdrum. It's regular day-to-day stuff. If you are a fan of Nine Inch Nails, that song, Every Day is Exactly the Same, is coming to mind. We have the King of Swords. I just heard Make Your Mind Up. The Eight of Swords and the Five of Cups. Oh my gosh. And then we have the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck, the Moon, Six of Cups, the Devil, the Fool, the Nine of Pentacles, Judgment. Huh. What an interesting reading, especially because of this embracing enthusiasm. Shout to the heavens with happiness, because it's kind of like that is not happening in the tarot, which is so funny, because like I literally said, I can't wait to see what the tarot cards say, because this felt so vague to me. And maybe, again, like maybe there's, a lot of things in your life right now that are feeling very vague, and maybe you don't have anything that you feel like you can be enthusiastic about. So let's just get into it, because I also feel like at the bottom of the deck, there's all this like kind of good stuff that's happening at the bottom of the deck. So it's almost kind of like, if this is the mindset, this could be the potential reality. I don't know, but we'll see kind of how it unfolds, of course. But the Page of Wands have to do with action. It's the motivation behind the actions that we take. It's, creativity and passion, and what are we doing? What steps are we taking towards our creativity, towards our passions, right? And I also see Wands as being the suit of information too, especially, like with the third line, because by trying things, like we were saying before, by trying things, you discover what works, what doesn't work, what do you like, what don't you like. That's all information, right? So that's why, like, I see wands as being the card of information, or the suit, I should say, of information also. And pages are a bit young, like they're the apprentice of the court cards. They can be a bit younger if it's like a real person. It could be you when you were a little bit younger. But also, like, so the Page of Wands generally talks about being enthusiastic, right? It's adventurous, curious even, right? Like there's like kind of this childlike curiosity about how things work, or how you're going to go about doing things. It is a bit like, being excited to try something new. But it's interesting because this Page of Wands, they're chilling under this tree with their dragon playing their flute. The sun is either coming up or going down. I don't think that necessarily matters. It's just preference. We have these candles that appear to have been burning for some time because they're really pretty low. So again, it's like I always kind of get this feeling with this Page of Wands that it's reconnecting to something that you enjoy doing. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be, because like I said, they're just sitting here playing a flute. Like, maybe it's a hobby that you haven't been able to spend a lot of time doing. It could even be meditation. And meditation doesn't just have to be like, lying down prone and, like quieting your mind. I mean, of course, it is also that, right? But meditation also happens when we are active, like playing a flute. Your focus is on doing the task at hand, to where, like, you're not even thinking about all of these other things. And it comes to a point where, your brain gets quiet enough, the muscles of your brain like relax enough to allow messages to come in. Which is interesting that it's paired with the King of Swords, because I think I said, like, make your mind up when this card came out. The King of Swords is the highest expression of the suit, being a king, right? Swords have to do with our mind. It's our ideas, our thoughts. Truth and honesty come with swords also. Divine truth, though, it's like objective truth based, like purely on fact. I also see swords as being the card of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, to feelings, whether they're true or not, whether they're even our story or not. It could have been a story that somebody imprinted onto us or told us about ourselves, and we just absorbed it as being true, but like it's not. So, like the King of Swords is, for one, going to have a deep and clear understanding of that ego, right? They've spent time understanding where those stories came from. Are they true or not, right? That's a lot of inner child work too, which can definitely be exhausting, which is also, like allowing yourself the time and space, like the Page of Wands, in order to work through something like that, especially, like if you are on the roof and you are unpacking a lot of these things, even if, like you are not on the roof yet, or you're off of the roof. Either way, though, it's like there's a higher level of understanding mentally of the things that you have been through, and even like the actions that you want to take. This is also somebody who understands like risk. I don't know why that's coming to mind, but like calculated risk keeps coming to mind all of a sudden with the King of Swords. Crows represent change. There's four crows on here. They're also highly intelligent, right? I don't know, like, so there's this person on TikTok that feeds the crows like different stuff. I love their videos. I love watching crows, but and I love watching crows because they are so intelligent, and they will bring you gifts in exchange for something, like if you give them food, they will bring you gifts like, a bottle cap or a key, just some random shit that they found, like they'll it's almost like transactional. I'm sure that's probably not what it is, but anyway, crows are a symbol of intelligence. But I also believe like the totem for a crow represents some level of change. And then we have the Four of Cups. And like I said before, the Four of Cups is boredom, lethargy, just like kind of an overall like dissatisfaction or like disinterest. Because what's interesting is that there's this one cup here that she's focusing on. There's these 3 cups back here and there's 3 more lotuses, but it's like she just doesn't really seem to have an interest in the fact that there are these 3 cups here and 3 lotuses that could fill those cups. So it's almost like I'm just kind of getting this feeling of like, either feeling like like your cups aren't full, or just even not being satisfied with the cups that have been offered to you. Cups are about emotions. How do we feel about, the people, the places, the things in our life? It's also love, of course, like heart chakra, but more than romantic love. I mean, it certainly can be romantic love. I don't necessarily see this reading as being romantic or relationship heavy. I don't also do like relationship readings myself, but if it comes up in a reading, of course, we'll talk about it, but I just don't, I don't usually go down that road because I feel like it all starts with our star player. And it all starts with our relationship to love. How did we even come to that relationship with love? How do we give ourselves love? How do we give other people love? How do we receive love in return? And again, I'm not talking romantic, at least not all the way. I mean, that can be in there too. And it's interesting that it's paired with the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords is about kind of like a self-inflicted mind prison is how I always see it. We have all these crows around, right? And they're holding these ribbons. There's these 8 swords. And she looks like she's wrapped up. And of course she is, but her hands are free. If she wanted to, she's one decision away from changing this whole scenario. There could just be too much information, like you feel just overwhelmed by either possibilities, by thoughts in general, like if you are working through a lot of, kind of heavier mental stuff, it could just be that you feel overwhelmed. And maybe it's just, since you are in the energy of feeling overwhelmed, it's like you don't really have the energy to focus on or have the emotional capacity to feel any other kind of way for something else, which is totally valid. Absolutely. And that's why it's so interesting how this embracing enthusiasm shot to the heavens with happiness. There's 4 butterflies on here though. And they're all different. Again, even with this 8 of Swords, it could literally be a matter of changing your thought process to this energy. It could be, if this one cup that this person is so focused on is not bringing them the joy, the bliss, the happiness, the enthusiasm that they wanted from this one cup. Because too, we can see this one cup looks to be a bit more adorned. There's a big gem on it. It looks like a larger cup, and these ones back here seem to be smaller and a bit more plain. So it could even just be that, this one cup that is flashy and beautiful and, like kind of putting a lot of eggs in that one basket is just not producing what we had hoped that it would produce, especially with it paired with the Eight of Swords. Then it could be needing to even just switch your focus on something else. And I feel like you would already know what that something else is. Like it would already be something that's, kind of nagging at you from the back of your mind, and you've just been pushing that thought away or thoughts away. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be 3 different things. It could literally just be one. But, there could just be something else. And with the Knight of Wands, that I just get this feeling from the Knight of Wands that like they just pop up out of nowhere. Like it comes in really fast. Whatever it is, it could be communication. There is definitely enthusiasm in this Knight of Wands though. The thing with the Knight of Wands is that it's kind of that energy of like it'll get you going, but like the energy might not be around very long. I always kind of think of like, especially with this Knight of Wands, for some reason I keep getting this feeling of, like when you spark a match and it'll last for a period of time, but it'll burn down, right, to where you have to put it out. And also, it's kind of like maybe that's kind of the problem, is that, there is this enthusiasm that builds and builds and builds. And then it's like, kind of a burst of energy, but it's like depleted really fast. And I say that because it's paired with the 5 of Cups. I love that we have 2 progressions happening here. We have the Page of Wands to the Knight of Wands. We have the 4 of Cups to the 5 of Cups. So it's definitely, it's energy, and not to mention it's a progression forward with both of these. The Knight or the Page to the Knight, the 4 to the 5. So it is energy that you are like at least actively like moving through, is how that feels. And the 5 of Cups, like look down here. Now we have these 3 cups down here in the water turned over. We have these 2 cups up here that are being brought in by these little pixies or fairies. And, this person is so focused on these 3 of Cups that they don't even see that there are these 2 cups that are still available. So, the message with a 5 of Cups is that, 5s are transitionary energies anyway. They're not something to like pitch a tent and get stuck in. But there is a period of like grieving and mourning that needs to happen. But the lesson is that, or the message is that all is not lost. Like there's still these 2 cups here that are available and ready. And who knows if one or both of those cups hold that thing that is just, it's going to fill you with joy and bliss and make you happy, right? And then, like I said, so at the bottom of the deck, we have the 6 of Wands, which is a card of victory and success. And especially with it coming after this reading, I love this because this is that enthusiasm. This is, like being happy with the success, the actions that you have taken. There's these 2 eagles here, which to me represent, freedom. They fly really high in the sky. So that rhymed really well. But, and just being able to get a broader perspective on things. We have this lion, which is representative of, Leo, but the strength card. So this is, and also after a 5, right? So it's victory after battle, which kind of seems to be like what this is. This is, like almost kind of this thing about battling yourself, getting clear, trying to figure out, like what, not to mention, I love that we have 2 wands, 2 cups, 2 swords. It's just very like symmetrical or something. It's interesting. So we have the success that's happening after all of this. We have the Moon card, which is Cancer. This is, something is just not clear yet. There's something that is yet to be revealed to you. This is also, I keep hearing, like being open to being surprised. And it's, the Moon card is associated to our emotions. So, it's like with, being in your heart chakra, and again, like allowing yourself to be pleasantly surprised. I love this. The 6 of Cups. So now we have the 4, 5, and the 6. So again, still moving through the energies, right? Like still progressing forward. This is inner child. This is a card of the past. It's about nostalgia, the good old days, but also inner child, which, it can be emotionally heavy. But, we have this childlike, figure here, and now she's walking out of the pond. There's 5 cups on these lily pads. So something has been figured out here emotionally, and maybe it is because you followed some breadcrumbs to your past in some capacity, but it's almost like, the inner child or whatever is like sending off, this person with a new perspective. I kind of love that. We have the Devil card. It's understanding the things that control us, because the Devil card, it's Capricorn, but it's about illusions, addictions, like what are we chained to? This is a lot of like ego stuff too, because it's like, what are the things, what are the things that make us do what we do, but what we don't do too, if that makes sense. Because, we have this devil-like figure back here playing his little flute, and it's kind of like, it's keeping this person stagnant. It's, keeping this person trapped. So it's like, how can we break this spell? And I love that this is coming after the 6 of Cups, because it could just be something that you were discovering from your past that breaks this bond. Speaking of, third line. And then we have the Fool card. So we go from this energy to this energy. All these butterflies. Again, the Fool is a leap of faith. Trust. It's also calculated risk. I was mentioning that with the King of Swords. There's a lot of trust that goes into the Fool card. Trust and surrender, because it's like, it's trusting yourself. It's trusting your strategy and authority, trusting your path forward. And then we have the 9 of Pentacles, which is individual success, financial freedom, independence. I love this. We have the Judgment card, which is, transformation. This is like major transformation though. This is like, and I also love how we go from the Fool to Judgment with the 9 of Pentacles in the middle. It's like, whatever this success is for you, it's going to bring about like this new understanding of yourself. It's like, you're going to look at yourself, your abilities, your strength in a completely different way. It's like I'm just getting this feeling of like self-appreciation, and it's like you're finally seeing yourself and being in your power. Oh my God, I effing love that. The Knight of Pentacles, moving forward, might be a little bit slow, but also it's like not wanting to rush through a process. Really enjoying the journey. And then the Ten of Pentacles. Again, now we have this other progression from the Nine of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles. All these progressions, all of these progressions. And I've said a couple times, you know, like, because there are so many progressions here, that you are moving through this energy. And if you are, I mean, obviously here right now, then just understand that it is part of the journey and there is a purpose to it. And it is for you to get more clear and to make a decision. And that could even be where the enthusiasm comes from, because it's like, this is here to help me, and it will help you clearly with all of this that's under the Six of Wands. I love that. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.